Hello again, and welcome to Release to Results. It's a Course in Miracles, lesson 55, our fifth review of some of the early lessons. And it's one of my favorites. Have any of you had attack thoughts about anyone? I was having some things going on in my relationship, and I flipped open the Course in Miracles book, and I went right to the section uh, on these special relationships. And it told me, oh, your special relationships are for attacking and guilting people. That's what your ego uses your special love romantic relationships for, your relationships with your kids, your family, your coworkers, all this. And it hit me. I was like, wow, I'm attacking and guilting all the time. So, what kinds of things are you attacking in the world? What kinds of things are you feeling guilty about? Where are you making someone else guilty? Where are you being guilty? And let's just take a look at all of these different things that we've been putting on the world. So today's review, could you allow up the energy behind the attack thoughts, the visions of disaster, the putting those things on the world? Could you allow up the energy? And could you let it go to see things differently, to escape from the world, to perceive your own best interests? Follow along as best you can and enjoy this release, this letting go. Today's review starts with lesson 21. I am determined to see things differently. So, what are you seeing? Are you seeing any disease out there? Disease, disaster, death, anything fearful or angering? And seeing this is a suggestion that you might not know who you are or what you are. Could you go behind any perceptions, any sight, death, disease, or disaster in the world? Any thoughts about that? And notice this energy that would obscure seeing things differently. Could you open up and allow some of this stored energy to move, come up, to release it, to let it go? And could you let it go? Would you let go of the energy when projected onto the world looks like disease, disaster, and death, and see things differently? When could you let go and see things differently? And just keeping any energy that's running, that's still running. It's okay. It could take a while sometimes. Just a lifetime of misunderstanding, misperception, and innocence. I am determined to see things differently. Could you allow yourself to just take a look at some of the things you're seeing in the world that might seem terrible, awful, deadly, disaster? And what kind of feeling is operating behind those observations, perceptions, or creations? And whether you know what it's called or not, this feeling, it's not necessary to label it. It doesn't come with a label or a description. It's just a feeling. Could you feel it? Would you embrace this energy so it's no longer stuck, unnoticed? though it can start to move, be felt? And could you release the energy that sees disaster and trouble in the world? Would you release the feeling behind observing death and terror and wrong in the world? When could you release and see things differently? In lesson 22, what I see is a form of vengeance. And the world I see is hardly the representation of loving thoughts. If all of my thoughts go out into the world and are the cause that affect the effects of the world show up from, I'm seeing a form of vengeance. So, where are your own attack thoughts going out into the world? Is there anything you've been attacking mentally, holding in mind and creating the very things you must defend against? And could you notice how it feels behind one of those attack thoughts, defense thoughts, same thing? Could you allow this energy to come up that would spill all over and paint your world? Not to keep it, to surrender it. Could you just be feeling this energy behind the attack thoughts, surrendering it, noticing it, turning it over? Nothing you really have to do, it's just surrender. Would you surrender these attack thoughts on the world and seeing vengeance everywhere? When could you surrender this energy and no longer project it into the world? And lesson 22, what I see is a form of vengeance. And if your thoughts were solely loving, that is what would be represented in the world. And it's okay. Most of us here in the human condition are not having only loving thoughts and are not seeing that represented in the world. So, without judging or moralizing about it, could you just notice some of the thoughts that are other than loving? They may be, in fact, fearful or angry or guilty. Could you notice the thoughts you've been putting into the world other than loving? Without making good or bad of it, could you just notice how it feels behind one of those thoughts? That thought is attracted to this feeling, this energy. Could you allow the energy to come up, be with it, allow it? That is what lets it go, to just let it move through without trying to change it or modify it. Could you just let this energy up, feel it, notice it? And could you let go of these thoughts other than love? Would you let go of the energy that perpetuates projections of vengeance? You never have to. Just would you? When could you let go? It's always optional. Your choice. And some things release quickly, some things take a while. You can let energy run until it runs out, just surrendering it, turning it over as best you can. And you can also check in with lesson 23. I can escape from this world by giving up attack thoughts. Oh, how the attack thoughts bind us to the world we've created. The illusion. Could you notice maybe there's a person? They could even be very close to you, or you're bound to them by the thoughts of attacking them, making wrong of them, guilting them, defending yourself against them. Who's someone you're close to or even propose to love? You have great many attack thoughts, criticisms, make wrongs, wanting to change, and protecting yourself from them. You notice the binding binds you to the world you see, keeps emanating. And could you go behind the thoughts about this person, the attack thoughts, the defense thoughts, the make wrongs, the criticisms? Could you go behind all that and just notice how it feels? This energy that would bind you to the world. And it's okay without making further attack thoughts upon the attack thoughts and that energy. Could you just let it up? Could you just let this energy go free by starting to allow it to be felt, to move? Just some energy, just a binder. It's okay. It will release if you let it. Could you let this energy move, let it be felt, and let it release? There's nothing you have to do but let. Let things move. And could you release this energy? It's just a choice. I could hold it or I could release it. I could be closed and tight with this energy, or I could relax and open up and release this energy. When could you release, give up attack thoughts on a person and be freed from the world? Lesson 23. I can escape from this world by giving up attack thoughts. Without attack thoughts, I could not see anything I need to defend myself from in the world. I would not see attacking go on in the world. These are the representations, the outpicturing, the reflection, the effects of my thoughts. So, where have I been attacking the world or defending myself from the world? And without further attack, judgment, and moralization on myself for having these thoughts, could I go behind them and just notice what it feels like to be on attack and defense all the time? It's that energy. How does it feel? And whether it's labeled or not, could it be welcomed and unstuck just by feeling it, noticing it. Could you sit with this energy behind all of the attack thoughts, all of the defense thoughts? Just sit with it and let it unpack. Let the storage start to empty out just by feeling it. And could you surrender, give up attack thoughts, and escape from the world? When could you surrender what binds you to the world you've been seeing? Give up attack thoughts. Could you do that? And lesson 24, I do not perceive my own best interests. How could I recognize my own best interests when I do not know who I am? What I think my best interests are merely binding me closer to a world of illusions. Hmm. Could you allow yourself to notice your perception of your best interests? What does it seem like is of best interest to you? And could you notice any binding to a world of illusion? Could you feel what it feels like to be bound to this perception of your best interests? And could you let go of that perception and follow the guide God has given you to find out what your best interests are? Would you let go of your perception of your own best interests and be willing to follow the guide God has given you to find out what your best interests are? When could you let go of your perceptions and follow God's guidance to your best interests? And it's okay. We all get attached to some of these perceptions of what we think is best for us and all kinds of crazy stuff binding us to the world of illusion. It's okay without attacking ourselves or beating ourselves up. What has been a perception of something that's good for you, best for you, from a perspective that cannot see? Well, this seems like a good idea right now. It's what I've been perceiving as my best interest. And we'll see. We'll see. Could you just notice any binding, any attachment to that perception, your perception of your best interest? Could you notice that clinging, that holding, whatever it feels like? The I know this is what's best for me. Could you just welcome and be with that energy? And could you surrender your perceptions of your best interests your attachment to those? Would you surrender it if you could and follow the guidance God gives you to your best interest? When could you surrender your limited perception of what's best for you for God's? And you never have to, there's no rush. It's always optional. In lesson 25, I do not know what anything is for. Where are you trying to prove that some illusion about yourself is real? Is there any sense that of doubt in anything that you believe about yourself to be real? Any sense at all? And can you notice any trying to prove something you actually have great doubt in? And could you just notice this energy of doubt or pride trying to prove you know what something is for? You know about yourself, reinforcing illusions. What does that feel like? Could you open up and allow that up? Any feeling that's there, it's not necessary to label it or understand it. Could you just let this stuck energy, just some energy, be felt and move? And could you give it up, turn it over, let this energy go? Would you let go of what you think things are and are for about yourself and open your mind and learn the truth? When could you let go of what you thought about yourself and attempting to prove that it's true and be available for truth, open to it? And lesson 25 is I do not know what anything is for. And could you notice some kind of belief, subscription, idea, thought that you've had that something about yourself that you believe is real? An age, being a body, having a financial situation? What do you believe is real? What are you, and are you trying to prove it? Trying to prove some of these old beliefs? Is there any doubt in them? And could you go behind the belief you're knowing about what something is for and just notice the energy of doubt or pride or whatever's there? Could you open up and allow up that energy, just some energy, just accumulated energy? And could you let it release? Would you let it release and allow yourself to be open for the real purpose of everything by withdrawing, relinquishing your old ideas, beliefs, and concepts? Would you let go and let God clue you into what everything is for? Hmm. And well done releasing. If you've got more things that you'd like some help releasing with, Arna, please feel free to join us at releasetoresults.com. We do open releasing sessions every day. You can bring your own topics, and I'd be happy to help facilitate things. Otherwise, we've got these Course in Miracles lessons happening every day. Whatever you release on releases for everything. It's been really great to release so much of the energy of illusion and get to experience more and more and more of what actually is. And could there be more? Could it be better? I look forward to releasing more. And Arnav, feel free to come check us out. It's free. Um, be happy to take you through some releases. Anybody who has any topics, let's release to results. Freedom from our illusions. Have the best day you can. Thanks for joining us.